Hi, parents. This is Mrs. Royer. I am one of the kindergarten teachers here at Banks Road. Welcome to our virtual kindergarten orientation. This is all quite new and special and different to all of us, so bear with us. I hope you are learning a lot about what kindergarten looks like throughout the year. I just want to let you know this is a lot of information, especially with the literacy I'm about to present. So just keep in mind, we will keep you informed as we go, and you will learn a lot as well as your child goes through the year. Also, I know there's so much stuff extra going on already with the coronavirus. So my daughter was in kindergarten last year, and I know you guys have a lot of concerns, possibly like me. Is my child going to be happy? Are they going to make their way to their classroom? Is someone going to help them through the lunch line? And just know that you have a very experienced team at Banks Road who's very caring and hardworking, and we will help your children in all the ways. So don't worry, we've all been there, and we know that students have lots of varying needs, and that's what our job is. We're there to help your child in many different facets and help them all grow. And so try not to worry too much as you kind of approach this big benchmark of your child starting their educational journey. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about literacy. This is kind of a beast because it encompasses so much. So I'm trying not to talk as much. So bear with me. I'll probably just try to talk fast so I can get through it all. The four components I'm going to talk a little bit about today are phonics, phonemic awareness, comprehension, and writing. So literacy is a big part of our day in kindergarten, and I will tell you that it is very different than when you went to kindergarten. It's very rigorous. It's basically like a first grade class compared to when we went. So we know that we have a lot of learning to do and a lot of growth that we want your child to make. So we try to do it in the best way possible, make it very fun and engaging along the way. This is a program that you're seeing up on the screen called Letterland. And you'll hear about this a lot in kindergarten. It's a program that Wake County has used for a few years now. We really, as teachers, really enjoy it. And the students do too. They're very engaged. We like that, as you can see up on the screen, each letter has a character name. So A is Annie Apple. And then the other two important parts that we want your child to learn is the name of the letter name. So if we take away Annie Apple, we say that it's like a secretive land that only some people have been to, is the letter A. And then we want them to learn the sounds. And so each sound has an action trick. And so we teach them Annie Apple, A, like you're eating an apple. So it helps them to understand the movement in their mouth that they have to make to get the correct sound. And Bouncy Ben, B, and then it has ears to say B, B. And so it's a great program. We teach them all the letters and sounds. The expectation is by about benchmark, about halfway through. At the end of the second quarter, we want them to know all their letters and all their sounds mixed up, out of order, capitals, lowercase, can they match? So you can start working on this with your child right now, and especially start with the letters in their name. Do they recognize their name? So when they come into the classroom thinking about that level of independence, can they find their desk on their own? And can they find their cubby? Because that's going to build a lot of confidence within them. Oh my God, I know how to do this. I can do kindergarten. And so start working with them on their name. Do they know the letters of their name? What about if you wrote them down and you cut them up? Can they put them in the right order? And so we want to have a lot of print available to them, and just so they can see the importance of it and have a visual. And so we're going to be doing a lot with Letterland. This is our phonics program. And so phonics is all about the letters and writing them down onto paper. So we're going to be doing a lot of what we call CVC words, and it stands for consonant, vowel, consonant words. So students will be able to spell them and read them as well. So if we're trying to spell the word hat, we would stretch it out to Harry Hatman says Annie Apple, T at the end. And so we'll build upon that but we'll be talking about the beginning sound. The end sound is normally the most prominent that we teach second, and then the last sound in the middle is the vowel. So it's a really great program. We have programs on the computers for the students to use. It comes with music and just a great way for students to learn. So we really enjoy this, and you'll hear a lot more about this from your child. Phonemic awareness is our second activity, our second component we want to talk about. And phonemic awareness is more about the relationship with words and sounds. So not as much just one letter and writing it. So if we think about the word hat, these are all oral lessons because reading and writing so much depends on what your children can hear. So if we think about the word hat, can they come up with a rhyming word? Bat. Do they understand that the sound at the end, what they hear, is the same? And what if I changed, instead of bat, I took away the ah and I replaced it with an I? Bit. Same thing if I think about the word baseball. Can we think about the syllables? How many parts are in baseball? What do I hear? I hear base, ball. What if I take away the ball? What part is left? So these are all ways to manipulate, hear the relationship between words that are spoken and the sounds that we hear. So we'll be doing a lot of this practice in the classroom. Our reading block is set up kind of around the structure called the Daily Five. And these are the 5 components of the Daily Five. And it's kind of equivalent to the centers. So this is what your child will be doing and engaging with every day to become a better reader, writer, and speller. Read to self, when we know that all kids do not come in knowing how to read, and that is totally fine. Parents, do not go and say, we have to learn how to read right now, because you're going to take all the joy out of it and just not going to enjoy the process. So that's not what we want you to do. Just know that we know as parents and teachers that every kid who's coming to us is on a different level, and we will meet all of their needs. If they're already reading, we want them to grow just as much. If they don't know any letters, we're gonna start there. And so we have lots of differentiation going on in our classrooms. So some students are reading to themselves, and if you see on the very bottom picture, those students are reading, and maybe they're not really reading all the words, but they're looking at the pictures, they're looking at letters, they're seeing those concepts of print. And so that's one way we teach the students to read. Read to someone is when we're reading out loud and we're practicing our fluency. Listen to reading can be done on the computer, to a parent, to a teacher, and hearing all of that vocabulary and trying to understand and comprehend what's going on. Work on writing, exploring writing, writing about a topic, maybe coming up with a sentence that's scrambled, and can we put it together in the right order that makes sense? And word work is kind of those phonics works with the letterland. Can we build a 3-letter word? So those are all different ways that we're going to learn. And we start very small with baby steps. If you see pictures, we're building letters, we're practicing our name with Play-Doh. And so these are ways that your children will practice all of those skills more independently or in small groups. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about comprehension and sight words. Comprehension, we always want your child's comprehension to match their level and ability to read. So if they can decode, which means to figure out and read those tricky words, or every word, if they could figure those words out and decode it, then that's awesome. But if they can read a whole book and then I ask them at the end, what was the story about? What happened first? Oh, I don't know. What happened at the end? Then your child isn't comprehending. So we don't want that to happen. We want them to be able to read a story and then answer questions about it and understand it. So as you're reading books to your children, you can ask them, what was the story about? Where did this story happen? What was the problem? How was it solved? So anytime, even a movie or sometimes a TV show, I'll ask my kids, what happened at the end of the story? So you can always ask comprehension. That's a great way to get your child, not only their reading, their listening stamina to grow and to be able to listen for longer periods of time, but also for them to make sure that they're enjoying and understanding and really listening to what's happening in the story and paying attention. So this is just an example of a benchmark level book to see what the end of the year kindergarten is. And You might be a little surprised. That's okay. One of the best things that we love about teaching kindergarten is how much growth your child will make. It's really amazing and very rewarding, both as a parent and a teacher. So I just wanted to show you one of the pages from a text so you could see what the kind of the end goal is. And this is in years past. The state has not finalized what the end of the year goal is for kindergarten this year, but we just thought we'd show you what's kind of been in the past to have an idea. So this is a story called Our Teacher, Mr. Brown. And if you see here, this is the text. This is just one page of the book that your child would be asked to read independently with no prior knowledge or explaining or listening to or reading to on my behalf. So this is a lot of text and words, if you can see, and some tricky words in there too. And so I just wanted to mention that your child will also be learning sight words. And sight words are words that are high frequency words that are found most commonly in text. And a lot of them don't follow the rules that we teach them phonetically about how to spell. And so they just have to memorize these words. And we'll be teaching them about 2 words a week starting in the second quarter. And I just want to show you how important these are. I'm going to circle now all the sight words in this text. If you can see, it's maybe a little more than half of those words. So just think about if your child opens this text and doesn't know anything, how overwhelming and discouraging that might feel for them. But if they know all of these red circled words, your child is opening ooh, I know that word. I can read that. They're gaining some confidence. They're gaining some fluency. They don't have to stop after every word. The second sentence, they can say, I go to school. And now they, feel like they're kind of on a roll. And so anything that you can do to help your child and set them up for success, we just wanted to we thought this was a good way to highlight the importance of those sight words to really boost your child and give them the best chance at being successful. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about writing. In writing, we teach them many different genres to expose them to all the different types of writing and forms of writing. We teach them some opinion writing, personal narrative, how to, and informative writing. And it's really cool to see the transformation here. A lot of times at the beginning, children come in. If you look at the left, the beginning of the year, this child just had what we call letter strings, where they're just writing letters they know, and they know that that letter represents the story. But at the end, you can see that there are spaces and periods and some capital letters, and there's lots of sight words spelled correctly. And even their ability to illustrate becomes a lot better. And so what we use a lot is something called inventive spelling. And if you can see on the second line there, it says in a castle. And so we think the word castle is great. The student heard a K at the beginning, which makes the same sound as a C. They have an A, they have an S. The T is a little tricky to hear. That's okay. And they heard an L at the end. And so we encourage you to please try not to spell everything for your child, because then they become so reliant and dependent on you. And they also don't learn how to spell themselves. So we want them to say the word castle, stretch it out slowly to hear the sounds. Castle. And then every time they hear a sound, K, a, cas, S, castle, L. So even though that might be something you can do at home with your child, it doesn't really transfer and well to the classroom. If you can imagine, if there's 20 students and 2 teachers, and every student at every word is raising their hand, how do you spell? How do you spell? And it doesn't always help build confidence in them. As a speller, it doesn't help them build their skills, and it definitely doesn't help them build their confidence and their level of independence. So that's what we teach them, to spell their best and to just write down the sounds that they hear, kind of going back to that phonemic awareness and that oral skill. So hopefully I didn't go too in detail for you guys or scare you too much. Know that your child is going to do well. Know that they are going to learn so much and make so much growth, and you're really going to enjoy sitting back and watching them unfold as a reader and a writer. And hopefully, I just tried to touch upon a little bit of the big ideas that we teach in kindergarten. Please take advantage of the frequently asked questions page. If you have anything, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. We'll do our best to get back to you. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to meeting both you and your children this year in kindergarten.